HalleluYah Scriptures, Bereshith, Genesis, chapter 24. And Abraham was old, advanced in years, and Yahuah had baraked Abraham in every way. And Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, who ruled over all that he had, "Please put your hand under my thigh, so that I make you swear by Yahweh, the Elohim of the Shamayim and the Elohim of the earth, that you do not take a wife from my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell, but go to my land and to my relatives, and take a wife from my son Yitshaq." And the servant said to him, "What if the woman refuses to follow me to this land? Do I then take your son back to the land from which you came?" And Abraham said to him, "Beware lest you take my son back there. Yahweh Elohim of the Shamayim, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my relatives, and who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, 'To your seed I give this land,' he sends his messenger before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. And if the woman refuses to follow you, then you shall be released from this oath. Only do not take my son back there." Then the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master, and swore to him concerning this matter. And the servant took 10 of his master's camels and left, for all his master's goods were in his hand. And he arose and went to Aram Naharaim, the city of Nahor. And he made his camels kneel down outside the city by a fountain of water at evening time, the time when women go out to draw water. And he said, "Yahweh Elohim of my master Ephraim, please meet before me this day, and show kindness to my master Ephraim. See, I am standing here by the fountain of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Now let it be that the young woman to whom I say, 'Please let down your jar to let me drink,' and she says, 'Drink, and let me water your camels too,' let her be the one whom you have appointed for your servant Yitshaq, and let me know by this that you have shown kindness to my master." And it came to be, before he had ended speaking, that Ribqah, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with her jar on her shoulder. And the young woman was very good-looking, a maiden, no man having known her. And she went down to the fountain, filled her jar, and came up. And the servant ran to meet her and said, "Please, let me drink a little water from your jar." And she said, "Drink, my master." And she hurried and let her jar down to her hand and gave him a drink. And when she had finished giving him a drink, she said, "Let me draw water for your camels too, until they have finished drinking." And she hurried and emptied her jar into the trough, ran back to the fountain to draw water, and drew for all his camels. And watching her, the man remained silent in order to know whether Yahuah had prospered his way or not. And it came to be, when the camels had finished drinking, that the man took a golden nose ring weighing 1/2 shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrists weighing 10 shekels of gold, and said, "Whose daughter are you? Please inform me, is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night?" And she said to him, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, Milcah's son, whom she bore to Nahor." And she said to him, "We have both straw and fodder enough and room to spend the night." And the man bowed down his head and worshipped Yahuah. And he said, "Baruch be Yahweh Elohim of my master Ephraim, who has not forsaken his kindness and his truth toward my master. As for me, being on the way, Yahuah led me to the house of my master's brothers." Then the young woman ran and informed those of her mother's house these matters. And Ribqah had a brother whose name was Laban, and Laban ran out to the man to the fountain. And it came to be, when he saw the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrists, and when he heard the words of his sister Ribqah, saying, "Thus the man spoke to me," that he went to the man and saw him standing by the camels at the fountain. And he said, "Come in, O Baruch of Yahuah. Why do you stand outside? I myself have prepared the house and a place for the camels." So the man came into the house while he unloaded the camels, and provided straw and fodder for the camels, and water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him, and put food before him to eat. But he said, "Let me not eat until I have spoken my word." And he said, "Speak on." And he said, "I am Ephraim's servant, and Yahuah has baraked my master exceedingly, and he has become great. And he has given him flocks and herds, and silver and gold, and male and female servants, and camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master after she was old, and he has given to him all that he has. And my master made me swear, 'Do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites in whose land I dwell, but go to my father's house and to my relatives, and take a wife for my son.' And I said to my master, what if the woman does not follow me? But he said to me, Yahuah, before whom I walk, sends his messenger with you, and shall prosper your way, and you shall take a wife from my son, from my relatives, and from my father's house. Then, when you go to my relatives, you are released from this oath. And if they do not give her to you, then you are released from my oath. And this day I came to the fountain and said, Yahuah, Elohim of my master Abraham, please, if you are prospering the way in which I am going, see, I am standing by the fountain of water, and when the maiden comes out to draw water, I say to her, please give me a little water from your jar to drink. And she says to me, drink, and let me draw for your camels too. Let her be the woman whom Yahweh has appointed for my master's son. I had not yet ended speaking in my heart, then see, Ribqah was coming out with her jar on her shoulder, and she went down to the fountain and drew water. And I said to her, please let me drink, and she hurried and let her jar down from her shoulder and said, drink, and let me water your camels too. So I drank, and she watered the camels too. And I asked her and said, whose daughter are you? And she said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore to him. Then I put the nose ring on her nose and the bracelets on her wrists. And I bowed my head and worshipped Yahweh, and Barak Yahweh, Elohim of my master Abraham, who led me in the true way to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. And now, if you are going to show kindness and truth to my master, let me know, and if not, let me know, so that I turn to the right or to the left. And Laban answered Bethuel too, and said, the matter comes from Yahweh. We are not able to speak to you, either evil or good. See, Ribqah is before you. Take her and go, and let her be your master's son's wife, as Yahweh has spoken. And it came to be, when Abraham's servant heard their words, that he bowed himself towards the earth before Yahweh. And the servant brought out ornaments of silver and ornaments of gold and garments, and gave them to Ribqah, and also gave costly gifts to her brother and to her mother. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank and spent the night. When they arose in the morning, he said, let me go to my master. But her brother and her mother said, let the young woman stay with us a few days, at least 10, then you go. And he said to them, do not delay me, since Yahweh has prospered my way. Let me go, so that I go to my master. And they said, let us call the young woman and ask her. So they called Ribqah and said to her, are you going with this man? And she said, I shall go. So they let Ribqah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant, and his men, and they baraked Ribqah, and said to her, let our sister become the mother of thousands of 10,000s, and let your seed possess the gates of those who hate them. And Ribqah and her young women arose, and they rode on the camels and followed the man. So the servant took Ribqah and left. And Yitshaq came from the way of Beer Lahai Roi, for he dwelt in the Negev. And Yitshaq went out to meditate in the field in the evening, and he lifted his eyes and looked, and he saw the camels coming. And Ribqah lifted her eyes, and when she saw Yitshaq, she dismounted from her camel, and she said to the servant, who is this man walking in the field to meet us? And the servant said, it is my master. So she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Yitshaq all the matters he had done. And Yitshaq brought her into his mother Sarah's tent. And he took Ribqah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. Thus Yitshaq was comforted after his mother's death. HalleluYah Scriptures. Bereshith, Genesis chapter 25. And Abraham took another wife, whose name was Keturah, and she bore him Zimran, and Yakshin, and Medan, and Midian, and Yishbak, and Shuvah, and Yashkin brought forth Sheba, and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, and Letzushim, and Leumim. And the sons of Midian were Ephah, and Epher, and Hanak, and Avida, and Eldaah. All these were the children of Keturah. Now Abraham gave all that he had to Yitshaq, but to the sons of the concubines whom Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts while he was still living, and sent them away from his son Yitshaq eastward to the land of the east. And these are all the years of Abraham's life which he lived, 175 years. And Abraham breathed his last, and died in a good old age, aged and satisfied, and was gathered to his people. And his sons, Yitshaq and Ishmael, buried him in the cave of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the field of Ephron, son of Zophar, the Hittite, the field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Het. There Abraham was buried with Sarah his wife. And it came to be after the death of Abraham that Elohim barach his son Yitshaq, and Yitshaq dwell at Beor Lahai Ruah. And this is the genealogy of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Mitzrite, Sarah's female servant, bore to Abraham. And these were the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebaioth, then Kedar, then Abiel, then Mipspam, and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa, Hadad, and Tema, Yatur, Nephish, and Kedema. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these were their names by their towns and their settlements, 12 chiefs, according to their tribes. And these were the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years, and he breathed his last and died and was gathered to his people. And they dwelt from Havilah as far as Shur, which is east of Mitzrayim, as you go toward Ashur. He settled before all his brothers. And this is the genealogy of Yitshaq, Abraham's son. Abraham brought forth Yitshaq. And Yitshaq was 40 years old when he took Ribqah as wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean, of Padam Aram, the sister of Laban, the Aramean. And Yitshaq prayed to Yahuah for his wife because she was barren, and Yahuah answered his prayer, and Ribqah, his wife, conceived. And within her the children struggled together, and she said, "If all is right, why am I this way?" So she went to ask Yahuah, and Yahuah said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples shall be separated from your body, and 1 people shall be stronger than the other, and the older serve the younger. And when the days were filled for her to give birth, and see, twins were in her womb, and the first came out reddish all over like a hairy garment, so they called his name Esau. And afterward his brother came out with his hand holding on to Esau's heel, so his name was called Yaakov. And Yitshaq was 60 years old when she bore them. And the boys grew up, and Esau became a man knowing how to hunt, a man of the field, while Yaakov was a complete man dwelling in tents. And Yitshaq loved Esau because he ate of his wild game, but Ribqah loved Yaakov. And Yaakov cooked a stew, and Esau came in from the field, and he was weary. And Esau said to Yaakov, "Please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary." That is why his name was called Edom. But Yaakov said, "Sell me your birthright today." And Esau said, "Look, I am going to die, so why should I have a birthright?" Then Yaakov said, "Swear to me today." And he swore to him and sold his birthright to Yaakov. Yaakov then gave Esau bread and stew of lentils, and he ate and drank and rose up and left. Thus Esau despised his birthright.